You've got a long memory, Rick, and the young boy that's look at this.
Look at that.
Yep.
There's the skipper Kirk there, and he just grabbed hold of Micky O'Loughlin's jumper, and he was speaking to the players passionately about what today meant to him, to Micky O'Loughlin, and what Micky O'Loughlin has meant to that group. I mean, just great stuff there. And
at the other end, Tim, there's Ben Cousins, 250, his 12th game for this club, and there is a lovely synergy here with Cousins in those grand finals. It's only the third time he's played against the Swans at the MCG. The other two were in grand finals, and they were two of the greats of all time, those two matches, weren't they?
Absolutely. Umpires this afternoon, Margette, Stewart and Chamberlain. Very important game for the Tigers too, in as much as their coach wants as many wins as he can take to the table. 3.5 out of 7 so far. Big improvement.
McGuan has gone to Adam Goods, who we know has been playing in more recent times at centre-half forward. Hasn't even been given a run on the ball. They're quite content to just see how he develops as a centre-half forward. McGuan on him, that's a massive job for him this afternoon.
Jack going to Cousins. As I said earlier, averaging 31 possessions a game over the last 5, Ben Cousins. Good to see Alex Rance back in the side as well. Talented youngster, son of Murray Rance, former captain of the West Coast Eagles.
Delidio to McVeigh too. That's a really interesting matchup this afternoon.
Sunday footy about to get underway then. Opening bounce. And a good one. On the way down, Jolly, who's had a good season, only as far as White, tackled by Matner.
The other really interesting matchup is Newman has actually gone to Kirk and is actually playing on Kirk. Now, that's not something that Kirk is accustomed to. Generally, he's the guy who becomes the initiator.
Jolly didn't find the footy. Edwards did. Got away through. Untidy hand pass. Nahas made it look okay. Awkward kick, bounced it down towards the pocket. Leading back in the race, O'Keefe. Close to the boundary line, Rance in trouble, feeds a hand pass away, running out of space. Nahas taken by McVeigh, loops it over the top to Crouch. Crouch with a hurried kick to midfield, another bad bounce. Tambling's got it. Ablett took him down, slow to release, holding the ball.
So Ablett. Low kick looking for O'Loughlin.
The arm will fall still. No, other way. Go. Just whack his arm, Mick. Thank you, mate.
So the man of the moment gives away a free kick. Thursfield wide, looking for revolt. With him, Craig Bolton, Tambling, and Ablett. So a lot of matchups here. Jackson looks like he's got the job on Jude Bolton. He runs hard to the pocket. It was close to the line, just in and now out. And Post was the target. So Richmond. Right forward pocket.
Free kick against Micky O, then just going for the arm of Thursfield. Good defensive positioning there from Thursfield.
So the boundary throw in. Jolly doing very nicely. In the road though, Jackson, Newman. McVeigh got a hand to it. Morton left it behind. Big scramble about 25-30 metres out from goal. And the umpire has called for it.
And this is the way Sydney play. They like to crowd the stoppages as much as they possibly can. They lack leg speed. They just try and turn it into a real scrimmage. A lot of contested ball this afternoon.
Graham did well down at Cousins. This would be a good way to start. Ben Cousins on the left boot.
Well, that was just brilliant there from Ben Cousins. How many times over the years have we seen him do that? Every Richmond player went to Ben Cousins after he kicked that goal. It's a lovely tap there too by Angus Graham. Just into the path there. A lot of players around the contest. It's just a beautiful tap. Lovely, soft, feathery tap there to Cousins. And on his non-preferred foot, he did the rest. Just look at the players. Look at the emotion and all that.
Well, what a start for Cousins. 250 games all up today. It's been a long journey getting there.
Kieran Jack's gone to him too, Macca.
And look at that response as you mentioned, Tim. So Tigers get the first.
Ryan O'Keefe holding out as a Jake King out 5 metres.
So O'Keefe with the free kick and going to Goods on a long lead. Lovely kick and a terrific mark.
Look, if he gets enough supply, I think he's going to be too big and strong for McGuan this afternoon. Also, Jake King has perfected this role in recent times, playing as that forward, that defensive role. He's actually picking up Reece Shaw, and his job will be just to stop that Reece Shaw run-off half-back for the Sydney Swans.
So Goods from 50, good-looking kick, just fading at the end and giving the post a big rattle. So the Brownlow medalists are the blokes that are kicking the scores right now, aren't they?
5 points the margin then. Goods are behind, and prior to that, Cousins a running goal. Newman, the skipper, to himself. From behind, Nahas a big leap.
Free kick. Too early, Robin.
Went against him.
On the full now.
Run off here.
Matner. Nobody stands the mark.
Oh,
Matner, well, not sure what he was thinking. Didn't run off and kicked it straight to Thursfield. Tambling's got it now. Weaves his way through to the opposite pocket. McGuan under pressure. Goods doesn't miss them. Didn't miss McGuan. That was terrific.
I just wonder that the umpire was actually behind that passage of play. How would he have seen how McGuan disposed of the ball here?
He just knows Goods' reputation. And he was right, Tim. Don't know an answer to your question.
Well, Lee Matthews has actually called for more umpires. Maybe we need to give the boundary umpires a whistle for next season.
Perish the thought. In comes Goods. Sets it to the goal square. Jolly under the football. Loose ball about 15 metres out. Nahas went at the footy. At the base of all of that.
Right footy.
Not quite sure. Jude Bolton, there he is, last man up.
Look at this, how different it is at this end of the ground. They've opened it right up the Sydney Swans' stoppage.
So Graham and Jolly in a bit of a wrestle. Moore's little give. O'Loughlin cleverly can't hook it back for a score, and bouncing away. White went to ground with Moore and a boundary throw-in. He'd love an early goal, obviously, O'Loughlin. It's been pretty hard going this year for him. He's played a lot of games consecutively now, which is good. He's had some...
Right footy, no prior.
It's a great idea to try and actually protect somebody around a stoppage. Two Sydney Swans players then went to try and take the Richmond player away, which meant that they weren't even going for the ball.
So Graham and Jolly. Jolly probably won it. McVeigh was looking for it. Kirk's handle okay. Ablett back to Kirk. Back turn was good. Tambling terrific. Just got the right touch. Bolton was into his back. No free. And now...
Right, ball in dispute.
That's it.
This has started like a typical Sydney game, has it not, Tim?
Yeah, no, it's been played on their terms at the moment. This is the way they like to play their footy. Paul Roux said during the week that they're a better one-on-one side now, Richmond. They've played more contested footy, and they'll be really tested out this afternoon.
O'Keefe's got the football. Graham's got him, and so too Jackson. Rolls back to Graham. We'll have a ball up. Just thinking about more umpires, Tim. We could get to the stage where they start running into each other.
Yeah, no, the point that Lee was making, though, it's a good point. Basketball has two referees for a small little rectangular surface or ground. Or, Court. I was just going to leave it there.
Moore comes through and kicks a goal.
Well, both goals that have been scored in the early part of this game have both resulted from stoppages. Here again, good play there by McVeigh, who's getting some heavy tagging there by Delidio, but unable to stop him, unable to impede him here, and he just made his way through there. Critically, he got his hands free, and that's all they needed to do. And the difference with those two stoppages at either end of the ground, Sydney actually were able to crowd the stoppage at the other end of the ground, even though Cousins got a goal. Much more open at the Sydney end.
It's just his fourth game at the MCG, Moore, and his first goal. He's a goal-kicking nuggety forward. Swans by a point. Jolly and Graham. Jolly got it. Jackson, and he's tied up by Kirk. Down to you, Ricky.
Just an interesting thing at centre bounces, guys. Sydney Swans, they don't start any plays up on the line at centre half before they play all their plays out of the goal square, just creating some space at that centre bounce.
Edwards belting it forward. And then Hanbury running against the flow. Reece Shaw just worked off it by King. And well done there by Hislop getting through. And now again a ball up.
They've done their homework, haven't they, Sydney? They're just making sure that they tie up this really quick Richmond side. They're not giving them any time or space, trying to crowd them again. Look at the number of players around this stoppage.
Bounce goes away from the ruckman. Jolly tracks it. Hislop out of the congestion, down towards the pocket. Coming up is Matner, or rather Grundy it was. Hand passes across to Roberts Thompson, then takes it back. Grundy's been in good form. He kicks it up towards the wing. Good mark Tambling. And speaking of men in good form, he's found his touch in the last couple of months. From the wing, honours the lead from Deledio. Hard against the boundary line. Well, he split the indifference. They stayed off him. He kicks it down towards full forward. Awkward half volley for post. Ricochets across towards Revolt. He paddles it forward. Bolton's over the football now, and I doubt it will come out. I suppose the question is, can Sydney keep this up on such a big ground? But the SCG so often, when you watch a game, it's like trench warfare. Two players stayed off him, through he went.
Graham on the tap. Roberts Thompson cut off. Cousins again, this time with the right foot. And Grundy can't get to it, so boundary throw in.
Well, it's a really good education. I know Sydney have got a young side out there today, but so too have Richmond. Now, if they want to be better at this contested footy, then who better to play than the Sydney Swans?
Johnny couldn't quite get to the contest. Hislop had first crack at it. O'Keefe tries to get through.
Tackled immediately.
Jared Crouch and Nathan Brown. There are a couple of the more experienced players out there today. A couple of the guys that have played a couple of hundred. Kirk another. O'Keefe, good little give. Moore through heavy traffic. It's a good kick in the end to Jesse White. Now, Good said no. He was running past and didn't want the little handball. O'Loughlin's on the lead. Good mark. Micky O back to O'Dwyer. O'Dwyer's kick to Goods is a very good one. Well done by McGuan though.
Loose ball gathered by Morton. McGuan against the boundary line. Charged down. Well played by O'Dwyer. Gets it out of bounds. Good start for the young man. O'Keefe has found a lot of the football in recent times. Record stats for him. Hacked out of midair by McMahon, and it goes out of bounds.
He's been tagged to McMahon, so O'Dwyer's going with McMahon all the way. All those players that Richmond like to get free are going to actually come in for some real serious competition this afternoon. They're going to have run with type players, so it's going to be more difficult for them to get free and get open.
Pike and post. So the umpire's really working overtime at the moment. This is Sydney's game.
Yep. It's the way they love to play, Dennis.
Great experience for some of the youngsters in the Tigers team, particularly young Vickery. Bodies up there with post. Or rather Pike. It's hooked inside the forward 50, and the mark is taken by Goods coming up on the lead.
They're good, strong inside players too, the Sydney players that play around the stoppages. Once again, less players at that stoppage than at the other end of the ground for the Tigers. They're not bringing up their half forwards and their wings like the Sydney Swans are to make it more crowded in their back half.
No Tigers goal side there, and Bolton swooping through. Very good in that situation. Ball finishing up with this man, and Sydney finishing up with the goal.
I think this bloke could be the most influential player on the ground this afternoon. It will depend on how many times they can break Sydney from the stoppages, but if they can work the ball inside like we saw again there, Jude Bolton just swinging around on his left boot, this guy's going to have too much talent, too much class from McGuan, and there's not a next best matchup either for Goods if you look at that back line. So if he can break free, that's really going to cause some concern in the Richmond coaches box this afternoon.
Prominent early Goods, and Jude Bolton so good at the clearances, winning it out to him. So Sydney get the lead back. Cousins kick the opening goal. Moore and Goods the couple for the Swans. Pike won the tap. Swans forward, Bolton again. Hanbury's handball. Jack's little kick to half forward. Good stretch by O'Keefe, not paid. Bolton, bang, crash. Ablett back into a hot spot. Jack's got to get rid of it in a hurry. He does. Pike goes back. Reece Shaw can load this up. He can't get the right angle though, and he sprayed it badly. They're so good in close quarters, the Swans. We saw a good example there where they just kept the footy alive.
Tamlin's got the footy up from the back pocket then, decides to run it across. King is very deep. Can he get the ball to him? He goes in that direction. That was a beautiful kick. Well, almost. Fell about a metre short. King backed off the foot. He goes to Cousins. Sold him into trouble. Shaw kept coming. Whistle, and it's going to be another Sydney free kick. It was another strong tackle on Ben Cousins. And guess who? Bit of a head clash there, but Goods, he really is proving a problem. Goes short. Well, intended for O'Keefe. Fisted away by Rance. Straight back to Goods. 50 metres out. That is an interesting kick. Tambling needs to punch, and he did. Rance had it knocked away. Jack, spring heel. Jack gets through and kicks a goal.
At the moment, Sydney are just dominating in the area of contested footy. That's the way they like to play their footy. There was a defensive knock out to Goods, who just chipped that one in the air. I reckon he probably could have had a crack at a goal from there. He was inside 50. I think he was just being too unselfish. But there, Kieran Jack, who's playing on Ben Cousins, just finds himself in that part of the ground. And that's what they're really good at, the Sydney Swans players, just playing the ball on its merits. They get into their own half and they decide to become attacking players.
So Jack gets his first goal of the MCG. He's running with Cousins. So they won all. Daniel Hanbury, wearing Plugger's old number. Just playing his fourth game. He's created a big impression. Goes to school here at Xavier during the week and goes up for the last training session each week for the Swans. Jackson belting forward. Vickery running out at Grundy. Deft little touch back to Pike. Little give okay. Bolton. O'Dwyer's look good. Kirk again in close quarters. And then Bolton gets it through. Ablett got a bad bounce. Newman with him. Cousins running hard. And away he goes. A second running bounce. He's wanting someone to present. And then goes down the line. He played it well, Cousins. And found Deledio. So Deledio.
Take your kick.
There's Polo up ahead wanting the football. Deledio along the line though. And this is Brown. Brown, kick towards the goal square. Coming from the goal square, Morton takes the tumbling mark.
That was a good kick. A really, really good kick to that space. That's really demanding something of your forward, isn't it? He's such a smart player, Nathan Brown. He's just saying to him, that's where you're going to mark the ball best. No one else was in a position to mark it. Only Morton could have taken that ball.
Hasn't he been a good pickup too, Morton?
He's been a very lively forward. I still reckon he's got a bit to go before he completes his game, but he's well on the way.
Take a good kick from here. Goes with the reverse. A little banana that misses to the near side. And the margin is now 12 points halfway through the term.
And that area that he needs to improve on is actually the quiet periods that he has in games of football. He's just got to make himself part of the game a bit more, Morton.
Oh, sorry, no. Straight on the line. It's on the kick-off line, plus 50. We'll be on the goal line. Interchange breach.
So you heard the umpire, interchange breach.
Well, Paul Roos is sitting up in the coach's box this afternoon, so maybe they're just losing, or maybe they're a little out of sorts without him down there on the bench.
So a gift for King and the Tigers.
Well, that is a gift, but Ricky Olenshaw's down there on the boundary line. There's Paul Roos up in the coach's box. They're just explaining to him now what took place. There's Brett Kirk. He's getting the phone from the CEO, and he's going to go to the line now and explain to whoever upstairs exactly what took place. But Ricky's down there on the boundary line. I'm sure he'll be able to explain to us at quarter time exactly what took place after he's spoken to one of the interchange stewards.
So, how about that? If you were sitting at the ground, I'm not sure you would know what the heck happened, but Kirk explaining his actions, and of course North Melbourne and Sydney played last year, and Sydney have only got themselves to blame for that last goal. Nahas, McMahon running across half back, loops a hand pass. White has to wait, confront it, goes back looking for Tambling, into the hands of Hanbury, who kicks towards the pocket, off the hands of O'Loughlin. Now Goods, they stay off him, 35 metres out, deep in the pocket.
Jeez,
and he kicks it behind.
How dangerous is he looking, Dennis, in this first quarter, though? Every time the ball goes inside 50, he looks like the likely candidate.
Having one of his best seasons, I think it's fair to say, this season too, isn't he?
Yeah. Obviously, they're trying to make him into a forward. Another mistake by Richmond.
So more from the pocket, hooking back. Bolton's the free kick, surely.
That's a good centre, isn't it? Good disciplined play there. Just put it back into that dangerous zone. It's amazing how many times just something eventuates when you pepper that part of the ground. Clearly a free kick.
So Bolton is also having another good year. It's hard to imagine a couple of years ago that he looked like being traded at the end of the season. He's come back well. He's missed that, though. That's a bad miss. Ricky, what happened with the interchange?
Well, Sydney Swans actually had 19 men on the field, and the reason was is Ed Barlow just ran on the ground and no one had actually come off. So someone's actually forgot to tell this kid that you can only come on when a bloke comes off the ground. So they had one extra for that moment in time.
Well, they're going to have to tether them up. Kick in from the skipper Newman. Big pack off hands. Hand passing through was Bolton in the opposite direction, but good enough. O'Keefe directly at Revolt, who goes with the outside of the boot, bouncing down towards half forward, and Brown open forward line. Brown runs around, wants his left side, comes back now. Clever little hook, and the mark is held by Hislop.
She's a smart player, Nathan Brown. He is such a smart player. Then held onto the ball, almost looked like he'd done too much. Their kicking efficiency in Richmond has been woeful in recent weeks, but he is one player who gets hold of the ball. There's the error in midfield. O'Keefe actually had to lift his eyes a bit because they had another player, the Sydney Swans, in the middle of the ground who was free, and that forced the turnover. But this guy is just a wonderful player when the ball's in his hands.
Brown, not Hislop, but we're about to find out with Tom Hislop. Hard-working player from the Bombers initially. Kick is on its way, and he misses. That would have been handy because they're right off the pace at the moment. They're closer than perhaps watching this game has indicated.
Yeah, just small margin on the board, but in general play, you feel like the Swans have got the better of it right now.
Yeah.
So Matten's the target, and coming in Edwards. Big day for Nathan Brown, I reckon, Tim. I mean, I talked to Ricky about it before the game. He's
big month even, mate.
Yeah. If he can perform in a big match like this today, then maybe there's a chance. He's such an intelligent footballer. Things happen when he gets the ball, as we've seen so far today. Smith, Jolly, back to Hanbury, back to O'Keefe on his wrong side, but he gets it down the line. Goods and also McGuan. Well done, McGuan. That's a
good work.
First real win he's had today against Goods.
Come out!
That was a good mark then. Just used his body just to edge Goods underneath the ball.
So the Swans corralling him, and in there no one really on the mark has the confidence to come across the ground. Well done to Graham. Back in the team after a couple of weeks out. Patterson's been doing the ruck work. Tambling around the back and then goes wide. Hislop the target.
In the back.
So Barlow hasn't had a good start, has he? And then Brown again with that little dinky one, and King's got it.
He looks on, Nathan Brown. He really looks on his run, and hard for the ball to present as well.
Hislop, a centering kick from behind Revolt, in front, Deledio.
Just looking at Nathan Brown, I've been watching him for the last couple of minutes. He's working right over the forward line, working really hard to present. Now, the players upfield should be actually lowering their eyes because he is one player you would like to have the ball in the hands of. He's a good decision maker. He's a good executor. Each time he's touched the ball, it's gone to another Richmond player. They should be now focusing on trying to get the ball to Nathan Brown as often as possible.
Third possession for Deledio. This to make it a one-point game, and he comes. Point the difference. Sydney on top, but just.
Had some interesting things to say a couple of weeks ago, Brett Delidio, about the difference between the way that Terry Walsh handled him and also the way that Jade Rawlings. He said he's a better player. Here's Nathan Brown there, kick again. That's just smart play, just maintaining possession of the ball to Jake King. But just the fact that he believes he's become a better player because he's playing on players and then playing off them. In the past, Terry was trying to hide him once he was actually being tagged, and he felt that that wasn't good for his own personal makeup. Now he's now believing that he can actually battle through it better.
So Delidio gets Tigers third, so back to a 1-point game. Brown so important on that forward line. 3 kicks and resulted in a score from those 3 kicks. The first couple missed, that one getting home.
Back, Brett Kirk.
So Polo just falling for the trick there.
Do you like him from here, Bruce? Brett Kirk?
50-50, I reckon. He's a lot better from here than where he was, Tim.
He'll make the distance from here, you're right. What a warrior he's been.
Yep.
What a fantastic player.
He's actually the oldest guy out there today. He's about 6 months older than Micky O.
Well, 2 years ago when they gave him a 3-year deal, or Sydney gave him a 3-year deal, I really thought, gee, what are they thinking here? But he's easily going to play out a 3-year contract.
He's playing his 173rd consecutive game. He hasn't missed a game for 7 seasons, and he's kicked the goal.
Well, Richmond got the gift on the goal line, and now Sydney have got the gift. There's Jackson just falling into the back of Kirk, and then the 50-metre penalty bringing him in range, and there's a bit of play there by, it was Polo, wasn't it, that just encroached over the mark. Jade Rawlings just not satisfied with what he's seen either. But you know, I mean, I've seen so many times Brett Kirk almost willing this team back into a contest, and you go back to those 2005, 2006 days, and he was just such an important leader to that team.
Kirk got that last goal starting on the line of the square. Interesting, these centre bounces. I think they're playing into Sydney's hands because they've got 2 couples on either side, and they're coming in and generally just crowding things up, which Sydney want, and those players staying on the line are becoming influential players. This is O'Dwyer paddling it out towards that line. Now he goes wide down towards half forward. Jude Bolton battling there with Newman, and it'll be a free kick to Bolton. Looks a bad luck for Newman.
Sorry, Dennis, I was just saying, O'Dwyer does look a player, doesn't he? They've been trying to inject a bit more pace into this side. He's certainly got some leg speed.
Bolton towards half forward. Off hands. Delidio showing dashed handling. Drives it towards the outer side, and Cousins. Jack and Cousins. This will be interesting. Cousins has got him. Couple of revolutions. Jack kept it going. Did well. McVeigh has the football. He's confronted on the outer side. Untidy hand pass as a result. Matner taken down by White inside the centre square. Umpire will bounce it.
Correct decision. Didn't have time to dispose of the ball here. Bang. What else could he have done?
So Graham and Jolly, and over the top Jackson, and then Jack. Good tackle from Polo.
That's it, Ryan.
So Polo's little kick to Morton within range.
They are the most important kick in AFL football now, aren't they? That first kick into that range where a player can actually take a shot from. And that was just a lovely, dinky kick, allowing Morton to run in on the ball. Very impressive, Richmond, the way they've answered the challenge, particularly the physical challenge from Sydney early in this game.
And that last minute was revealing, wasn't it, with that physical challenge? And both teams hard at it. So Morton can kick a long ball, and he didn't really get much of a run up there, and that's a very short kick to the top of the square, which is a dangerous position for the Swans. Kirk did well, and then O'Keefe against all the tide, and then Crouch tried just to sort of slap it away to somebody. Nahas will want a free kick here.
Never dragged it in. Just on the ground already.
Mate, that was a really strange kick then from Morton, because I thought he was well within his distance then. It was a half kick. He deliberately kicked it to the top of the square.
Did an Adam Goods at the other end. Here's Delidio. Jolly on hands and knees. Post. Grundy. Well done, Brown. Always dangerous, but couldn't quite get the angle. And that's a behind.
Brown 4 possessions now. Under 4 minutes till quarter time. Cousins has been busy. Although when you look at his stats, not as high as you would have thought. Short one comes across the ground. Cousins has only had the 3 possessions. I could have sworn he had more than that. Roberts-Thompson, meantime, up towards the wing. Oh, courage by the young man, O'Dwyer. Going back, nice kick too. On the move, Ablett, can he get there? Well, he tried to. Courage the other way. Coming back was Newman, got a fist on it. Knocked it out of bounds.
There's a lot to like about this O'Dwyer kid too. The couple of times he's gone for the ball, he's looked really impressive. Kieran Jack is actually picking up Cousins head to head. He's actually leading. He's had 4 touches to Cousins, 3, and he's kicked a goal.
O'Dwyer tracks it again towards the boundary, and it goes out of bounds.
It's okay, it's okay.
I suppose we'll see Joel Bowden before the end of the season, will we, Tim?
He'll get a farewell game. I think round 20 they're talking about a farewell game against Collingwood here at the MCG.
Remarkable situation. Obviously the message clear to him. He's forgotten but not gone. There goes the kick from Bolton down towards full forward. Still a live ball about 20 metres out from goal. Ablett slides in. Rance is in there for Richmond.
You dived on it. You dived on it. You must knock it out immediately, Luca.
I'm presuming a Sydney free kick.
It is
against Rance.
He dived on it. He dived on it. Well, as a defender, do you really? You don't really want to be knocking that ball free, do you, as a defender? I mean, and he's still winning the ball, which is the #1 priority of our game. To have players going out there and being prepared to win the ball.
Doesn't pay to be a defender these days, Tim.
Not that part of the ground, it doesn't.
No. So Ablett, right behind him, has a sense of conscience.
That's their second bad miss too.
A couple of their hard-nosed guys, Ablett and Bolton, have missed a couple from close in, haven't they?
Thank you.
This is a new approach from Richmond on this kicking. They've just loaded one side of the ground, just opened up the zone a bit.
So Deledio the target, Jolly against him.
That's worked.
Edwards, terrific handball to release Vickery, and then Vickery through the middle to McMahon. McMahon's low ball, not a good kick.
His kicking lets him down, McMahon. That had to hit the target. That was a beautiful setup from Richmond.
Oh, he's a bit stiff there, his stop, because Matner was off. He thought he had turned his stop inside out, but he impeded him.
It's not a bad part of the ground to give a 50-metre penalty away, though. They've got plenty of time to get back and just load their defence, pick up their men.
So Matner across the ground, gets it to Craig Bolton, and down the line. Good mark down low by Jolly.
Completely above the ground, just there. Just there, Tyron. Stay there. That's your mark.
And that was just a lack of concentration there by Morton too. He was guarding 2 players on that side of the ground, but he just had to get on the attacking side of those 2 players, and that would have stopped the run. As it was, they were able to open up this fat side of the ground.
And Tim, Craig Bolton, Matner and Jolly. Roosy's done a great job with all 3 from different clubs, hasn't he? They've hardly missed a game, those blokes. They just keep turning up and playing well. Jolly hooking though and missing. It's been one of the signature of Swans under Roos, is the ability to get players from other clubs and make them even better.
Bit unlike Jolly, that miss. As a goal-kicking ruckman, he's got 16 for the season. Short one to Cousins in the pocket. Decides to play on now. Kicks it up the middle. Dying seconds of the term. This is a dangerous spot for Richmond. Well played there by Roberts-Thompson. Knocked it down to Goods. He's 52 metres out. And he misses to the right-hand side. Unlike Ben Cousins, to take that sort of risk, they probably should have kept coming down the line.
1 goal, 3 goods in this opening term. He's promised to actually take the game apart. Hasn't quite done it on the board, but looking very dangerous. More backtracks. Well, they've got to be careful here, Richmond. Cousins. Probably in good hands with Cousins there. McMahon. He knows what it's like to have the footy close to the end of a quarter. Short. And Thursfield. And they look like they might be safe here. That one long and wide, and oh, so close to the line.
Race, 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 race. Thank you. That's the line.
So that's the line, and that's the quarter. Bit to think about. A couple of 50-metre penalties have played a part, one from the interchange obviously and another for Kirk. And Sydney with a bit more of the ball, Cousins getting busy late. Lachlan saw a bit of the action. Goods was the dominant forward in the first quarter along with Brown at the other end. So quarter time, Swans leader by 9 on Sunday Football from the G. Thanks, Rick. So Micky O'Loughlin goes down to full forward again. He'd love to have a goal before half time.
An interesting battle, that one between Ben Cousins and also Kieran Jack in the first quarter. Cousins had 5, Jack's had 4. Jack's gone forward and actually kicked the goal, which really hurts a player that you're playing on. But he's got a wonderful capacity, Jack, when he gets into that forward half, just to turn himself into an offensive weapon. And we've seen Jones do that at St Kilda too. They're not just taggers. When the opportunity presents themselves, they're quite happy to go after and hunt the footy themselves.
Start of the second term of the MCG. Both ruckman missed it. Jolly kicks towards half forward eventually. Goods looking ominous. Not that time though. Polo over the top to Tambling. Tambling just forward of the wing. This is Graham running towards half forward. Unloads. Lurking at the back is Morton. Manoeuvring in front and taking a very strong mark is Roberts-Thompson. We've been impressed with Post, but he's got his problems with Roberts-Thompson at the moment. The kick goes to the outer side. Jolly lays it off. O'Keefe back towards the middle. Ablett inside the centre square. Plays on immediately. Jack is cruising past and he hits O'Loughlin on the lead. O'Loughlin 55 metres out. Bacon square. They're all leading back. He goes looking for more and the ball clears him. Not difficult to do really, and goes out of bounds.
Real change in this game too. Richmond have decided that they're going to double team Goods across half back. So Polo and McGuan have got the job there, which means that Sydney now have a free player at the other end of the ground as well.
And that was Smith at the start of that quarter. Graham, now O'Keefe. Little give O'Loughlin. Clever back to McVeigh, and McVeigh goes back to O'Keefe, and O'Keefe sprays it across. Disappointing result.
And what Paul Roos has to decide now is whether or not it is Smith who he wants to have as that free player across half back, whether or not he's going to be the player that's going to be the dangerous one.
So McMahon down to Brown. Asked to go Brown. Now he's going to backtrack and go to the fat side. Graham out there all on his own. Now he's going to use the run of Tambling. They do this a lot with Tambling. Nothing up forward for him. Cousins going short. And Tambling back inside to Thursfield. Back to Tambling. Tambling works it wide. Dangerous kick. It's a good mark in the end, but it was set up for Jolly.
O'Keefe now. Just inside the centre square. Spears the pass to Moore. Turns around 35 metres out and misses by quite a margin.
He's been a busy player already in the second quarter. O'Keefe had 4 possessions already in this second term. Really good defensive play there by Sydney just to stop and hold up Richmond and then eventually force the turnover.
Just running through some possessions there just before quarter time, talking about some of the experienced players, and you notice that in the Sydney game, possessions not quite as high as they normally are. Off the hands of Jolly, taken by Jackson. So many stoppages. Shaw has it. Now McVeigh, he can run down towards right half forward on the lead. Goods, and this time he does mark it. She's presenting. Out comes White. Goods found him.
Well, that's their future forward line, isn't it? You think about Goods maybe playing their centre half forward next year, and White developing still as a player coming out of the goals square. Of course, they've got to replace Micky O'Loughlin and Barry Hall, who's already retired.
I suppose when you look at the SCG, not the ideal ground for the centre half forward, but Goods is a unique player. This is White, and he comes. Kick is on the way, and he brushes the post. In the wake of Barry Hall, that man is the great white hope.
They should be 5 goals ahead by now, Sydney.
2 goals fired from set shots, Tim, and that wasn't easy, but a couple of the ones at the other end were.
They're just keeping Richmond in the game at the moment.
So Newman asked to play on here, and that kick found its target in the end. Ablett couldn't quite cut it off. Jackson puts Cousins under a bit of pressure, then back to Jackson. Cousins puts him under pressure, and then back to Newman where it all started. Now Laughlin's got him, and that's a great result for the Swans.
Well, this defensive squeeze has been outstanding. What they're doing is they're playing a 15, 16-man zone, pushing right up on the Tigers and not allowing them any space whatsoever.
So Jolly and Graham couldn't quite get to it, and then Tambling in trouble. Gone, I think.
Opportunity, tackle was legal, then he ducked into it. Jared McVeigh.
Again, great defensive pressure. There's the ball carrier Tambling. Almost slipped that first part of it, slipped over his shoulder, but here we go again. The arm there just going right around his neck. But incorrect disposal. He's getting the free kick and a shot at goal. And they really need to nail all these runs now, Sydney.
You'd reckon that he's a pretty good guy with the footy, McVeigh, from this range. And that's better. Gets it.
Just an indication of the tackle count and where they're at right now, Sydney. They've already laid in their attacking 50, 10 tackles. Their season average is 11. So obviously it's been part of what they've tried to do in this game. They've gone after the Richmond defence. They've said, OK, we can actually really slow their play from half back if we tackle, if we're prepared to go in there and apply some pressure. But they need to still finish, and that's a good finish there by McVeigh. I mean, it looks like a relatively goal, but it's amazing how the yips can go through a team.
So fair to say the Tigers in desperate trouble here. A tad unlucky. That tackle initially was high, despite the fact the umpire said he ducked into it. The replay showed that the right arm of McVeigh was over the shoulder of Tambling. 17 points the difference. Jolly doing well, knocks it down, taken by Newman. They've got to move it quickly. They've got to get some run, the Tigers. Towards half forward goes White, 65 metres out. Morton comes on the lead. That's better.
That's where he's at his best, on a lead, Morton. And Port Rouge has disallowed that free player behind the ball. So at the stoppage there at the centre bounce, they had 7 in their forward line, just 5.
Well, there's a complete breakdown. Polo, unattended, 20 metres out, just turns around and kicks a goal.
Well, they've got plenty of space to operate in. Here's White, who's a real dasher, and that's a terrific kick. Great lead there too from Morton, who came right out of the goal square then on the long lead. And I'm not quite sure where the breakdown occurred there, but that's Polo, who's just drifted forward. Such a simple shot at goal, and he actually wasn't a forward. He didn't start in the forward line, so he's obviously come off half back, and somebody's forgotten to run and chase and pick him up on the way through. That may be the guilty party right there.
Quite a bizarre goal in the end, wasn't it? So Swans had 7 of the 8 scoring shots prior to that goal, 2-5 to a point, and now Richmond on the scoreboard at least, certainly back in this game, back to an 11-point margin. Kirk getting it out after Ablett did some good work. Hennebury almost, Tambling with him, and now Cousins over the top, terrific tackle. Tambling fetching it, goes through Matner's legs. Ablett held up in the tackle, but he's gone. Well done, Newman.
Good sign there too. 4 Richmond players, first to the ball, 1 Sydney Swans player, so they've upped their work rate.
So Newman, who got a clearance a moment ago. Nice kick. Edwards, who's been impressive in the last month, playing as a running defender, gets around Kirk, gets away from McVeigh. Awful looking kick off the boot. Bolton did pretty well. Goods in the back half for the moment, and then Goods away. That's a lovely kick to Matner.
At half back, Matner.
Pike was out here on his own, but I think the team rule at this stage is don't kick the ball to Pike.
Well, I think Matner saw that Vickery was coming off the bench as well, and sneaking up behind him. This is Ablett. Penetrating kick, O'Loughlin in best position, showing courage Thursfield. Hand pass from White, O'Loughlin looking for a free kick, putting the body in Polo, squeezing it out Hannebury, in trouble Matner, got it across to Goods. He was in defence moments ago. Down goes Thursfield, and the umpire whistles. A free kick is going the Tigers' way. McMahon to take it. Pretty hectic in there.
See, there's a lot of players after that passage of play too, just standing there with their hands on their hips.
Goods, didn't he? Run hard from half back to half forward. Vickery in trouble. Going over the top, Kirk. Fighting two of them. Did brilliantly. Got it out to Moore. Hurried kick close to the boundary line. Across comes O'Dwyer. It bounces away from him.
This game's all about learning from your mistakes. Now, one mistake that Vickery just made was trying to get around Kirk. You just don't get around Brett Kirk. His tackles stick. Terrific play. 1-on-2 then.
Good stuff by Kirk. So Pike and Vickery.
Cousins is being held by you, Kieran. Hold him.
So against Jack, Cousins.
They're rising to the challenge here, though, Richmond, Macca.
Yep.
Right there, Kyle.
Tambling. Revolt. Ricky, down to you, mate.
Well, the most nervous man out there has to be the Sydney Swans interchange steward. There was nearly another infringement a few minutes back when Mike Pike stepped out of the interchange box and the steward had to almost lay a bear hug to stop him from going over. And then the AFL official actually went out to chat to the steward to say, just get your eye on it.
Gee, that's dangerous. Now Rance is hurt. He came off the interchange bench and he had Smith dead to rights. Meantime, the game is going on down near the goal square. McGuan under pressure. Tackle laid by White. Ball jarred free. Tambling. That's ambitious. He's holding the footy.
Rance has gone off the
Let's get a
ground.
legal disposal. That wasn't.
Just about the self-same position where he broke that cheekbone. Stormed onto the ground. Was going to lay the tackle.
Bang. Left himself open, though, too, didn't he? I reckon he's got a hip in the ribs there.
Nick Smith didn't know he was coming until the very last stride. Bolton, meantime, runs around and kicks a marvellous goal. What a beauty by Jude Bolton.
That was just a brilliant bit of play there by Jude Bolton. Not known for his goal kicking. He's kicked 10, now 11 for this season. Had a miss early in the season. Here's Tambling. There is another Richmond player trying to get around that tackle. They are just a really good tackling side, Sydney. Their tackles actually lock. They tie up the player. So many times you see broken tackles, but they are really well schooled in the area of tackling, going at the hips and tying up the hands.
That's Mickey's little daughter, Taya. Micky O'Loughlin we're talking about. So Brett Kirk and Micky O'Loughlin in the interview at half-time. We've had a sneak preview. It's a good one. Here's Delidio. Well done. Good kick too to Brown.
3 metres. Thanks, Jared.
So Brown to Newman. Now he can kick a goal here. He got a bit too close to the man. Now he doesn't. Now he goes around. Can he get enough on it? No, he just overplayed it in the end. I reckon the first instinct should have been banged from 55.
Yep.
Good play there by Sydney again, though, to come at the ball carrier. Just put him in a little bit of indecision. Just took a little bit of time off him. And in the end, he had to hurry the kick.
Get it back in quickly to O'Dwyer, who we've liked. He's in half back. Margin 16 points. Feels like more. O'Dwyer to Ablett. And that's good news for the Tigers. They're still hanging around here. Ablett against the boundary line. Looking to the middle and decides to come down the line. Goods will fly. No, he doesn't. Didn't get to the contest. Loose ball at the back. Hanbury. Brilliant pickup. Will go long towards White. White will get a free kick. As simple as that.
Blocking. Once you turn against the footy, Kelvin, it's a free kick. It's a block. It's a block.
Moore was in desperate trouble the moment that left the boot.
He was. And the difference there we saw a moment ago, Newman, when he was carrying the ball, actually held onto the ball. On that occasion, Hanbury just released the ball straight away. So the defender is under enormous pressure the moment the ball leaves the foot of Hanbury.
So Jesse White hit the post a few moments ago, comes in and kicks this goal.
Well, just when we thought Richmond were getting their way back into this game, Sydney have hit back with a couple of goals. Here it is, the top left-hand of the screen there. And Moore just trying to grab hold of Jess Smith there. And he was in all sorts of trouble there. Really disadvantaged by that quick ball into the forward line. Paul Russo at the moment. It's going to be really interesting from the coach's box. Does Jade Rawlings now send another player behind the ball, which will further clog up the Richmond forward line, sorry, the Swans forward line, and open up his forward line at the other end of the ground?
Well, Alex Rance is back on the ground. He did come back on with a little bit less enthusiasm this time. Last time he came on, he got absolutely poleaxed. He was winded for a period of time. The doctor checked his sternum, but he's all okay, and he's back in the Richmond back line.
So 50 to 28. Plenty of Tigers in the back 50 at the moment. Cousins doing well. In fact, they're getting a few clearances at the moment, Richmond. But that one cut off by Shaw, and then Goods on a long searching lead. He's such a presence, Goods. And then nice kick to O'Dwyer.
He's neat, this player, isn't he, O'Dwyer?
Played a couple of games last year against Carlton and the Crows in the middle of the year. And back in.
Paul Roos said early in the season that they may try some experimentation later in the year if they thought that their final eight side or their final eight chances had disappeared, and that's exactly what they've done. And you've got to think that they're already starting to build for next season, and they're going to turn players over. They're going to see what they've got, and maybe they're going to find some nuggets.
Well, White's been doing a great job in recent weeks, and that one just to the right of the post. Kicked 4. White in the game against Carlton, and then 3 against the Saints, and he's become a real focal point up forward.
More plays on. Edwards. He gives them run. Needs to take them on, but his disposal sometimes lets him down. Put on the rebound. O'Dwyer got it from Bolton. Bacon square. The ball runs towards it, but then breaks towards the pocket. So Moore will do it again. They've got 2-on-1 up towards the wing. Takes a while to release the footy. Hislop. Well, that was a nothing kick. Graham was closer to the boundary. Needed to kick it beyond the pier that would have Graham's right and give him best play on the ball. Sometimes when he's running, bouncing the football, I think he loses his bearings a little bit, does Edwards, and they pay for it. But geez, a good ball getter. Gets it again. Cousins in trouble. Back to Edwards. Edwards dragged as he kicked. Scrambles it towards midfield. White running past now. McMahon looks inside the forward 50. Coming at him is Brown. Off hands, a chance for King. Terrific tackle. Shaw got him down.
See, it was so important then that McMahon hit that kick. Here it is. McMahon breaking through the centre of the ground. Just too much elevation with that kick. Had to be lowered. Brown was in front of Crouch. He was in the best position, but in the end it was Crouch that was in the best position because of the kick.
Opportunity missed, and now McMahon gets another crack, and that one's out on the full.
You won't get that many opportunities against Sydney where you're actually breaking free. You're running through the centre of the ground and you're a 1-on-9. You've just got to make sure that you make the right decision, and when you do make the right decision, that you actually execute perfectly.
The Swans doing well with Crouch getting it from Craig Bolton. Now the switch might be onto Barlow here, and then Hanbury's going to be on his own as well. Well, Barlow's having a bad day, Barlow, at the office, but we're okay now. Now Hanbury finally gets it from Bolton, and now Moore. Kicked the opening goal for the Swans today. It's got O'Dwyer on his own in the centre. Moore decides to go down the line. Goods and jolly, not a bad idea. And well done by Jack. Terrific. O'Loughlin inside Smith. O'Loughlin's lovely kick to White.
That was a beautiful crumb there by Jack, wasn't it?
Yep.
Full pace.
He's been as damaging as Cousins has on the ground today. They're going head to head, but that was just a wonderful crumb. And a lovely, see, that's the difference. There's the kick from O'Loughlin, takes the pace off the ball, kicks it to White. At the other end of the ground, McMahon actually kicked it to the Sydney defender.
1 goal, 2 to White today. That's looking good off the boot. So he's got his second, and the Swans are away now.
Really dangerous times now for Richmond. A big lead opening up, but it's not just the lead on the scoreboard, it's actually in general play, the way the game's being played. Now Richmond have, coming into this game, there's a crumb again, just wonderful positioning there by Jack, just had the whole thing covered, and then intelligent use of the ball as well. Coming into this game, Richmond had averaged 95 possessions a quarter. Now up to this stage of the game, they're on 95, so the game is clearly being played the way that Sydney want to play the ball.
So White is looking dangerous. He certainly presents a big target down there, and that's in stark contrast to some of the leading players at the other end of the ground. And so far in the game, Sydney 50 more possessions. When you break that down, that's about 4 quality players playing well to this point in the game.
Advantage play.
Advantage is paid. Hislop comes away, swings it out wide. Graham, McMahon, Brown confronted, forced to kick with his right foot. Cousins hard running down towards right half forward, holds up.
She worked hard to get to that ball.
Cousins, low down. Oh, that was a good pass. I'm not sure it's in position A. Well, it isn't as much as it was on Morton's chest. But a difficult kick in the pocket.
That's where he's been getting his kicks, Dennis, today, Morton, hasn't he, in difficult angles.
Now, will he go for the check side, Dennis, or will he go for the drop punt?
Well, on exposed form, you'd have to think check side and or a pass. He's gone for the pass, and why not to McMahon? He plays on, 52 metres out. Well, not a sense of deja vu with the kick. In front, Smith at the feet of Moore, strong tackle on Brown. A bounce about 35 metres out.
Look at Sydney, they've just loaded the back half now. Every player is in the Richmond half of the ground at the moment. A lot of players around this stoppage. This is the way they like to play.
Terrific bounce. Jolly probably won the tap. Morton tried to snare it. Jack tried to get a kick away. Brown was there. Deledio, Cousins in heavy traffic. Gets a little bit on it. Bouncing ball. Shaw had time. Looks up. He's got a wall of players in front of him. It's a pretty good kick, actually. And O'Loughlin honours it with a terrific mark in the back half.
They're out of position now. It's just going to have to hold the ball up. They're just going to have to be patient going forward again. They get themselves into position. They run hard forward, the Sydney Swans. And they set up.
Yep. You described it perfectly, Tim, and Goods on the end of it. Then Goods down the line.
Hand on the back.
It's a proven way of playing. Even if you look at St Kilda, the way St Kilda are playing now, they may have made some advancements in terms of their frontal pressure and their full ground zoning and all that type of thing, but pretty much it's the way that Ross Lyon with Paul Roos had Sydney playing. I mean, there are a lot of similarities.
Bolton to the outer side. Hanbury.
2 metres, Matt. 2 metres.
Looks every centimetre a player, this young man. Taking his time. Told to play on now. Going for distance, and why not? They're winning these battles. Over the top, almost wide. Opportunity, McVeigh. Goods just missed him. Out of bounds by Moore. They're monstering Richmond at the moment. They're just too big and too strong, and the Tigers are reeling. It's like watching The Undertaker against Rey Mysterio Jr. and Ray's done a hammy. Boundary, throw it in the pocket. Jolly slaps it down. Goes after it. Ablett, the beneficiary, went to ground. And the umpire will ball it up. No, it's holding the ball.
Now, this is where they've had real trouble, though, getting a break from here and moving the ball with any fluency. Now they're out.
And Edwards would like to run with it, as we know, but now uses Cousins. Cousins, that hard running. King almost. Good effort by Bolton again, and then Shaw's tackle looked a bit high. Jack inside to Kirk. Kirk's little give to Jolly to Bolton, working hard, and then Bolton up, coughed it up. Who was the good guy, Den, the Undertaker or Ray?
Both of them okay.
Okay,
just
enough.
different sizes though, Bruce.
Yep.
Undertaker big. Ooh.
Sounds scary, the Undertaker.
No, his manager was scary, Paul Bearer.
Come back inside.
I'm just computing all of this. Here's Jackson. Off one step, good kick to King.
That was well worked.
Meter.
They're half a kick away now from a goal.
And they need one, Tim. They need a couple before half time.
He can't kick this, so he's either got to set it up or they've got to go back outside the ring.
Now, Newman, if he was on the burst, you'd say he could kick this, but he's too far out now from a standing start. Jolly's gone back to the goal square, and just in case he decides to load up. No, they've gone wide, and they're back to where they were. In fact, I reckon King's further out.
He's further out now. And Sydney have got more players now in their defensive 50. They've set the zone up. Very difficult to penetrate here.
So King bought a couple of metres and then loads up. Jolly's back there. And big fly came from post.
Oh, no.
Is that a goal? It is, I think. Rance has got it.
Well, you'll take it. It wasn't the most convincing setup I've ever seen, but here's King just getting that extra couple of metres, which almost got the ball to the line here. There's a couple of Richmond players contesting it, and Rance just an opportunity. Just watch it again. There's the contesting right on the goal line. Jolly not able to swallow it, and then the quick thinking there of Rance just to be able to carpet the ball off the ground.
Alex Rance, high draft pick, 12th game, first AFL goal. His dad didn't kick too many either. So, there's still a pulse. One way to go in the game. Graham, Vickery, so both the big men on to finish this term. Jackson, haven't seen a lot of him. Nasty collision involving two Swans. Deledio to Brown. Kicks with the right boot, floats it down towards the square. Roberts-Thompson has been the master of that duel. Too good for post. Short one. Precise. O'Keefe comes away. Magna, they've got a man on in Bolton. Just under 3 minutes to go. Bolton backtracking. Magna coming at him. Decides to bypass him altogether. And why wouldn't you? The mark to Goods to the square with intent. Ablett takes the mark 5 metres out. That was wonderful movement of the footy.
There's Krause just limping from the ground after that collision, that mid-air collision. Here's Matner going back with the fly of the ball. That is so courageous to do that. That's what you expect from a defender, to become that third man up. But in the process, his injured Crouch, he got up okay, set that goal up, or he set that kick up to Goods, who's just been a thorn in Richmond's side in this first half of football.
Bruce made a good point about the players who have gone to Paul Roos and succeeded. He gets a certain type of player. Players with big hearts and courage.
I'm not always sure that they have that when they arrive, though, Dennis. I reckon there's the non-negotiable about the way that he wants his side to play, and you either play like that or you don't play at all for the Sydney Swans. And you know, he's very specific about the role that he wants his players to play, and there's a very real structure about the way they play. Now, Goods could have actually given that handball. That was a terrific decision. Decided not to give that, but to go long to Ablett in the goal square. They've been outstanding this quarter.
Jared Crouch getting a fair bit of attention on the bench here, boy. You see the pitch there. He's got a massive corker inside of his right thigh. You can see they've applied an ice pack, so it'll be a fair bit of work for them over half-time to get him back out here for the second half.
Thanks, Rick. Cousins doing well in the centre clearances, and that's a good kick. Hislop hard at it, and then running Rance. He waited for it to bounce. He might kick a second, no. Had a good chance there.
Just not able to turn his left shoulder inward nearly enough to get the bend on the ball that he desired. Jade Rawlings got a lot to concentrate on now at half-time. I mean, it can't come quickly enough for Richmond just to make some changes and try and get some structure back into the way they're playing, because everything is going the Sydney Swans' way.
They've only had one bigger first half in terms of the scoreboard this year, the Swans. That was against Port Adelaide when they got the flying start at the SCG. Dwyer, it's a Jack, he's been good, O'Dwyer. Jack Cousins, terrific duel. And then Jack goes to the pocket, White's the target. Oh, good, well done by Polo. Filled the hole, took the knock, and now rewarded with the footy.
Short one, Nahas. Haven't seen a lot of him today. McMahon. Now Rance is offering, but that's a dangerous kick. Acknowledging that. McMahon bypasses Rance. Good mark taken by Tambling.
She's got a good pair of hands, Tambling. He's a wonderful mark overhead.
He's got all the bits, hasn't he?
Oh,
It's
he
just, does he bring them on the same day?
That's right.
Kicks
They don't
it up
always
towards,
compute.
No, they don't. King lays it off. Nahas left it behind. Rance in trouble. Rance. King finding a way through. Well, almost. Hand pass in desperation. Gone. Holding the footy.
Their tackling pursuit has just been wonderful in the first half of the Sydney Swans. They've just stopped Richmond from getting any time, any space whatsoever.
Mike Pike, the tackling Canadian. He sounds like a wrestler. Kicks inside the forward 50. White goes up and takes a mark.
That was strong, wasn't it?
Oh.
Now they've got real problems in their key defensive posts.
Now, He might be a dentist because we couldn't show you his face momentarily, but I knew it was Jake King. Don't worry about that. Two feisty customers, Shaw and King. Meantime, White causing major problems. He's going at his third. He's just too big down there, but again he lets them off the hook, hangs it out to the right. The siren for half-time. Shaw being led away. King, a Pyrrhic victory as far as the Tigers are concerned, because they're being thrashed at the moment. On the scoreboard, it's a little flattering. Sydney a 9-10-64, Richmond a 5-5-35 on Sunday Football.